What's going on, you wonderful people? It's Nima, and I want to talk about a couple games. And I do want to start off by saying that in this video, we do have a giveaway. Yes, the awesome publishers at Dolores Entertainment did send me an extra code so I can give the game to one of you. And the game that I'm talking about, and it'll be the last game we cover, is a game called Low Story. But before we go into Low Story, I actually want to talk about another game that they're releasing tomorrow. And it's an arcade racer called Speed or Death. Now, to be clear, I'm not sponsored by them. They're not paying me, nothing like that. Just they gave me two codes, and I figured, you know what, both games are on the short side, so it'd be best to just do one video with talking about both games. But if you guys could do me a huge favor and hit that like, subscribe, bell notification, all of the algorithm stuff that will help me get more views, I would really appreciate it, guys. So starting off with Speed or Death, which does come out tomorrow, like I said, and it is an arcade racer, which is typically a game that I've really found myself liking recently. Racing games in general have just been something that have been calling to me, and I don't know why. It's been a very interesting experience that I think started when I first played Wreckfest a couple months ago. Got it on a sale and really just dove into it. I never really talked about it, but I loved that game. And since then, racing games have just been part of me. I've really enjoyed them, and especially I've noticed I've liked the alt racing games. Yeah, your simulation type games are... I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but they're almost needlessly hard at times, and sometimes you just want to go as fast as you can and, crash into junk and just have fun. Like, take you back to being a kid again. And I would say that's exactly what Speed or Death has done. And no, don't misread what I'm saying. You're not, in a DeLorean and it's not taking you back in time. But no, that feeling of just playing an arcade game as a kid, that nostalgia, that is really here, but with a little bit of a modern twist. And when I say modern twist, I mean dynamic level design. There are some crazy levels, with the first one starting as you're in a city trying to escape a gigantic Godzilla-type creature that is attacking the city. And yes, it does affect you. You find yourself weaving through this city with things exploding around you, and this Godzilla-type monster even flinging fireballs in your direction. But that's not where it ends. The next level has you in an army base with a bunch of crazy sandworms attacking. And as you're watching a lot of the military guys fight off the sandworms, you too have to be careful for them as well, because they will pop out of the ground and fling you up into the air, which is incredibly funny and fun. There's also a level where you're in an actual race, but aliens descend upon the track and completely mess with everything. You got cars going every which way. Part of the track is blowing up. It's just craziness. And of course, there is another final level with more outrageous stuff where you're actually racing in a volcano. And all of this, it culminates into some really exciting moments where you'll have to barely miss other vehicles or thread the needle and hit a ramp that was just made out of rubble. Things like that just, I don't know, they scream fun. And when you hit those ramps and when you're jumping and flying through the air, it just feels so great. And you just realize just how much fun it is. And to round everything off, there's a lot of unlockable cars. So there is quite a bit to this game, especially for the price, as it does come in at $7.99. Now, I will say it does have its issues. It is a budget title, so it's not going to have the best performance. But the thing that I really want to hit on is nothing really affects the gameplay. Like, there isn't any lagging or something like that that would just really pull you out of the gameplay. There is a little bit of screen tearing, and there is an issue where sometimes you can't see exactly what's way down the road. For me, the biggest issue that I had with it is the fact that there wasn't enough destructible environments. Like, I would really appreciate a patch where they just made a few of the things more destructible, as that would just really, for me, hit home this crazy arcade crashing into stuff racer full of destruction. But I also get where you wouldn't want to make everything destructible, because then it would defeat the purpose. You could just crash through everything instead of actually have to try. And I will say, you do have to try in this game. If you think you're just gonna saddle up and do one race and no problem, yeah, you're wrong. It's gonna take multiple tries to get through an entire circuit. And you know what? That's really cool. And that's been something that me and my wife and my son have really enjoyed about the game, is just passing it back and forth, seeing who can get the furthest, and watching each other, because you're learning the course a little bit better. And I will say that is one other thing that I would like, is a little bit more direction when you are racing, because there are times you really don't know where to go. Specifically, the alien level, there was a part where like I really had no clue what I was supposed to do. So, just those little things would really help the game in a lot of ways. A little bit more direction and destructible signs. Definitely destructible signs, because those were the one things that kind of irritated me. But anyway, now on to Low Story. Now, Low Story is a game I wasn't expecting. In fact, I thought the game itself was more of like an interactive narrative type game. One of those long form story games, but it looked really good and it looked interesting. And that was ultimately why I wanted to check it out. When I found out that no, it's actually a 2.5D side scrolling Metroidvania where you play as Low. You're thrown out of a window literally onto the streets below and forsaken, left to this dark, dilapidated world where you are to be forgotten forever. Well, Low doesn't take that lying down. In fact, he's rather angry. Armed with a stylish cowboy hat and guns, including a bazooka, Low decides to take his revenge against the people who've forsaken him. And as you shoot your way through a futuristic wasteland, you'll find different side quests and a few characters or NPCs that can kind of help you out. Now, they are basically vendors or robotic in general. There's not a lot of humans. The humans that you do see, though, you want to take down as quick as possible because usually they're gunning for you. There is a lot of different environments that I really appreciated about the game, and ultimately it had this aesthetic that was sort of like Inside or Limbo if you've ever played those games, but instead of having to do puzzles and to figure things out that way, you just shoot your way through any problems you might have. Now, there are some puzzles, I'm not gonna lie, but for the most part, when you find a problem, you just shoot it and go about your way. And aside from your typical enemies, you will also have some pretty great boss fights, and I will say that I died a lot, but one thing that I really liked about it is it didn't really punish you by sending you too far back, or there wasn't a long loading screen. It was like you're pretty quickly back to where you were before, and a lot of my deaths weren't just purely gunfight. In fact, most were platforming, as that is one thing I will say about the game. There are a few areas, especially the cave, where you just can't see anything, and I don't know if that was meant on purpose, because it is quote-unquote a cave. Now, it's like more like an open air cave though, so you would expect to be able to see quite a bit of the ground, but there are definitely some areas that you're not able to really see, or I should say it's rather difficult to see. Now, that and a little bit of lack of direction, especially when it comes to a certain boss fight, are the only complaints I really had with this game. For me, it wasn't just aesthetics. Graphically, it looked really good. Performs really good. There is a lot of things about this game to really enjoy. Now, it is on the short side, but for some people, they're going to appreciate that as well. And with the price being $7 or so, it really does help that, yeah, maybe it's not the longest game, but that's kind of fine. You spent $7, you had this great little adventure, you got to fight some great crazy bosses, learn about this really interesting, weird world, and you're out. Like, you're able to then go on. And I kind of really like that about the game. As I've played so many of these long form RPGs and even other, I would say like long adventure games, I really needed like just little palate cleansers in between, and these games have become part of my gaming routine, something to really just break me out of what I was last playing and get ready for something different. Now, I also would say that if you're a person who doesn't have a lot of time to game, not everyone is as lucky as I am to be able to game for hours a day. It also makes you feel accomplished that you're able to get a game and maybe beat it in a couple days. But ultimately, aside from length and I guess a little bit of direction, I had no issues with this game at all, and in fact really enjoyed it. And so for me, both of these games actually get a 7 out of 10. I have really enjoyed them, and thanks to Dolores Entertainment, you might have a chance to get to enjoy them as well, or at least one of them, as they've given me the code story, like I said. And all you have to do is like, subscribe, share, do me a favor, and maybe on one of your socials, go follow Dolores Entertainment. They're cool, and they've given me this opportunity to give you a free game. The other thing to put yourself into this prize pick, whatever, is just a comment down below, something like low story. Just say the name of the game, and that'll let me know that you want to be entered in for the chance to win. I will be giving the game away on Saturday, and I will be asking for your email, and we'll email you through my email, Nima Jameson. Now, anyway, that's it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys. Love y'all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.